can't get enough of you. Leave it all to bloom. You were right.
It's my new jam.
I know I can't get enough of you. No, the things that I would do.
All right, folks, we're back with another edition of the Red and White Podcast, and that is my new jam. And just like that song says, I can't get enough of the Wolfpack. Will, how you doing?
I'm good. You faded it out right when it was really sounding like it was about to pop.
I know. I don't like the way this dashboard does the fades. It's super aggressive. I'll play it on the outro. Everybody can hear your jam. It's a good song.
Yeah, do it for the people.
For the people. Randomly heard it on the end of Ballers episode like 6 or something like this past season. I heard the song on the way out and I was like, man, that's a really good beat.
Never watched a single episode.
Oh man, you're missing out.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Really
Look, I love The Rock, and it was like the one thing I was like, I don't know if I can risk it. I don't know.
It's one of his better acting jobs, in my opinion. It's a really good show.
That sounds like somebody who did not watch Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, I love Hobbs and Shaw.
For anyone out there that thinks that would be a terrible movie, you should definitely rent it. Go to your local Redbox and support my brother-in-law's business, and rent it and drink a bottle of wine or something with your special someone, and kick back and laugh because that movie is sneaky funny. So,
I mean, any of those Fast and Furious movies to me, like, they're entertaining. That's what they are.
Yeah.
And I enjoy them. I'll watch them all until they stop making them. And
so
it's
good.
The Rock, so it doesn't get any better than that.
I just found
But
out
Ballers was really good. Ballers is a really good show.
I just found out
It started getting off the deep end in the last like season when he was like maybe the 5th season, I think it was. But they brought it back. This last one was really good.
Well, I hear they announced today that Bosch is going to have a 7th season. So,
yes,
talk about a guy who came in at the right time to deliver this news to you.
That is fantastic. Bosch is an Amazon original show based on a Michael Crichton book, I believe.
No, Connolly, I think.
Michael Connolly, there you go. But it's awesome. It's like I don't know, it's a detective show, right? But it's such a good show.
I think
5 seasons in, highly recommend it.
I think if you like The Wire, it's a more low key version of that, a little bit more self contained, but it has a lot of people from The Wire in it, which I've kind of enjoyed. So yeah, it's really good. And you know what? The intro is awesome. I find myself watching more episodes when I want to go to sleep because I'm like, that intro is about to kick in.
That is good. I need to put that one on the list next week. If you remind me, I'll play it. Yeah, good show. Everybody should watch that one. It's a really good show. So absolutely, we should probably talk about the Wolfpack to some degree. How's the women's team doing right now? Halftime, right?
Yeah, it's at halftime. They're down, I think, 10. They're looking, I guess, Cunane. This is literally the first time I've tuned in to watch this team. And Cunane hasn't scored a field goal yet. And I think I can't remember who the other girl's name is, just got like her first field goal.
Ace, yeah.
Yeah, so they're playing a little sloppy. Cunane's looking a little like timid or weak down in the block. So I mean, I hope she can kind of, I know I'm not expecting like windmill dunks or anything like that, but I think she needs to really kind of like, I don't know, body it a little bit more. Like she just looks tentative for some reason. But
right.
Louisville looks good, man. They got this. They got a couple people that are just like dropping in threes like it's not a problem. So. I don't know if we just ran into a buzzsaw at the wrong time, but I will say this: the jerseys that the women are rocking look pretty cool. And I don't know if they've been wearing these all year. Maybe someone who's been watching can tell me, but look pretty sweet. I wouldn't mind seeing the guys rock them. They got this like gold lettering with like red trim on it. Looks really cool.
Huh. Nice.
It's classy.
Cool. I'm sure they'll be fine. They have a tendency to be up and down, but come back when it matters. All right, so a little recap of Bridget. I know that I think it was the last 6 minutes, 5 minutes and 49 seconds, if you want to be exact. They couldn't hear you or Bridget, so I really apologize. They had to listen to me talk to myself for 5 minutes, so sorry about that. But otherwise, it was a very well-received episode, I think. There's a lot of good comments, a lot of good feedback. I think my thoughts now, after thinking about it, I probably would have asked her a little bit more or leaned into the Red Sox comparison for her growing up and said, the biggest thing would being, hey, if, Aaron Boone happened and the Red Sox lost again, right? Aaron bleeping Boone. And then somebody, like one of your friends texted you something, sarcastic, how would you have reacted? Right. I think that analogy might have gone over a little bit better. I think she kind of got the point, but I don't know if she really got what we're trying to get to, which is, state fans are a bit of a different breed. What'd you take away from that?
Yeah, no, I think she understands. I think maybe just going in, she just didn't think that our people were so, I think we're high strung more than anything. And we just snap really easily over sometimes. I mean, again, it was bad timing, but in the long run, people shouldn't be sending death threats to someone over a tweet.
All right. So, I'm not in her DMs.
But that's normal, man.
I kind of gathered she was exaggerating a little bit on that. If you look at the replies to the original tweet, which I did, nothing was out of bounds. The biggest one was Katie Harris, whatever she said was you don't know how to do your job or something. It was legit along those lines. That doesn't mean somebody didn't slide in her DMs and tell her she should be fired.
I mean, but that's the thing. Is you don't know what.
I think she's a little hyperbole.
It happens so often, man. The internet is the most predictable piece of shit place in the world, and it would not surprise me at all if she got DMs where someone basically just came at her completely unnecessarily hard. And that's the thing is I just don't understand that mentality. I've never.
Well, you never will. You're not one of those.
Yeah, I mean, people. It reminds me of gaming.
I just don't think it was.
It reminds me of gaming, and I would maybe I've just always gotten lucky, and I've just kind of come across people that are relatively mellow to play with. But you occasionally just get someone on the headset with you, and you're like, "Oh my god, what's wrong with this human being?" But
right.
Hey, Lady Pack.
But she really painted the picture that it was a lot of people, and I really take pause with that. I don't believe that happened.
To each their own. One is more than enough as far as I'm concerned. But
that's true.
I don't know.
And then when I pushed her on the question where she said your fan base is always attacking people, and she didn't say that we weren't. I mean, she didn't say, yeah, I didn't mean that. She was like, yeah, you guys do. And I'm like, whoa, that's a little bit harsh. I disagree.
You know what
that.
was really interesting was when she said that because of kind of maybe where people are, right? That the Duke presence in the local media threads in that sense is kind of limited, and that it's really UNC and state. And I could see that given how things have been relatively in the recent history, UNC fans are probably more easygoing in general, coming off of the success they've had in basketball, and where they get to celebrate a 7-win season like they've won, the national championship. So I don't know, man. I could see from a local perspective that our fans are assholes, more often than other fan bases. I just think, like I said earlier, I just feel like we're just just so frustrated. And I just think it comes out poorly at times. But that tweet could not have been more poorly timed, and I'm not surprised people got upset.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I have just a different opinion of our fan base because I've been very complimentative of them over the years.
Yeah,
That's a big
was
word. I
about
was
to
going to butcher
say.
it. um, and now I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, like 95% of the people that I interact with a lot of state
100%
fans,
agree.
are
Within the
are
yeah,
are awesome. You know, they're super cool. And there's always a one that's just like over the deep end,
oh my
like
god,
fire everybody immediately. And I just don't think that's everybody. And I think it's even a smaller
yeah.
percentage of the people that slide into DMs and say, hey,
Oh
you're an
yeah, but those are the
asshole.
ones
You
you
should be
remember, right?
fired.
Like I don't know. It
Yeah.
would be I don't know what it's like to be someone that's in the actual media. Like everyone's nice when they tweet at me from these podcasts. So but I always think of everything in like the bell curve, right? And somewhere on the tail end, at the right is like all the really nice state fans who nothing could ever go wrong. And then on the other end is just like the five guys who are just the worst part of our fan base. And like
I think
I
that's
it totally
everybody,
is,
though.
right? It
I mean,
totally
I really
is.
do.
But I guess what I was
Yeah.
saying, I think it makes sense when she had said kind of like, think about the who the people are that are tweeting out at her or reaching out. Like Duke is like checked out relatively compared to the populace of UNC and State fans. I mean, who knows?
Right.
I mean, as this season goes on, if State could actually beat UNC in basketball, she might see the bad side of UNC fans.
Yeah.
She
The
could
other
go to
part
a
of this,
Walmart.
all of it is I was trying to work in a Walmart joke in there. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. The other part of all this is that I think she's got a lot to learn as far as being a public personality. And I'm not saying that I understand it by any means, but I feel like, there are people who have been in it, some veterans who understand it a little better. And I got a feeling, that's going to be part of her learning lessons as she
Yeah,
goes
I
through
thought
this.
like I thought I could notice like when she was talking about like actually doing the broadcast and like actually the station work, she had like just a more serious like I got it. Like I just think it's like it's got to be tough. I mean, it would be curious if we could ever get like Mark Armstrong or someone on and ask them about like how do you do your professional voice versus your public off-camera voice kind of thing. Um,
I bet he would
yeah,
come on.
it'd just be
He's
interesting. Yeah, I
super
mean, we could just talk about Utah. It's fine. You,
Yeah, I bet she would come on because I think he does it better than everybody. Like, because he'll go on there and rant about Utah sports, whatever. And I guess nobody's paying attention, but he jokes around with state fans and other fans, and everybody knows that he's joking around. Whereas like Joe Ovius and those guys historically have been, you know, aggressive with their snark, and it comes off completely different. Now, I think they've kind of refined that over the years. I think they've kind of softened that, just from the little bit I pay attention to them on Twitter. So I'd be curious to talk to Mark Armstrong and how he feels about all that.
yeah. Or we're just swing for the fences and get Jeff Gravely. It's no problem for us.
Dude, I bet she would do it too. Actually, now he's interviewed all the football coaches. Who else has got left? Bring us on, Jeff.
I'd
Bring
have
us
to tone
on.
down the language for a few episodes so that we could get past the filters. Yeah, jeez. We are within. We're down 11. What is going on, Lady Pack? Come on. I feel like I doomed us by watching this game.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that last basketball game.
All right. So Syracuse game, I think super important for the Pack. It meant a lot, and going. I'm gonna be honest. I was watching it on my phone as I was playing basketball, so didn't watch it super closely. But I did watch enough of it to get the gist of it. And for a while there, probably like everybody else. And if you look at the ESPN probability chart, you're like, come on, guys, you're just blowing it. But I saw Devin Daniels bank in 3. And it was a huge win just from the fact that it helps you stay in hunt for the double bye in the ACC tournament. And just another good road win. I don't know what it ranks in the quadrants.
It was a 1.
It was even better. So not that net and stuff actually means anything anymore, but it was a really important game. If they lost that game, you could just see them checking out. But man, I'll give it to them. They play hard, and they don't always do the right thing or the smart thing, but they seem to play hard, especially more so on the road, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was really nice. I turned it on a few minutes in, and it was really nice to see a lot of full court pressure. And I wonder if that was, we finally had enough healthy bodies to do it. Of course, Pat Andre, twists his ankle again. So hopefully that's not going to be a serious thing. I mean, I know he's twisted it a lot, so hopefully it's only a little thing, but, yeah, it was great to see a lot of effort. You'd think that we would struggle against the zone, but we looked very well coached for it. Keats I think he's either 2 or 3-0 against Beowhine.
Which is mind-blowing that he's 0 in life against Georgia Tech.
Well, Georgia Tech is sitting here like smashing Louisville like it's not a problem. So, by the way, I'm about to get a Krispy Kreme delivery. So I'm going to have to go on mute for a second. So why don't you vamp?
So, I mean, I think it's, that game was just one of those games you could see them collapsing. Now, I disagree with Will. I don't think they excel against the zone. What I think it happened is they had a good shooting night. And that was bound to happen. Just if you statistically you play the numbers, at some point you can't shoot bad all the time. And it's going to come back, which I hope it does for Braxton Beverly, because I think he was 1 for 5 from 3 in this game, which has got to get better. Our deep ball shooters have got to shoot better. I'm curious why. So if anybody's out there watching those games, count how many in the next game, count how many open shots that CJ Bryce passes off or Markel passes off from deep. So Bryce, especially in that game, and maybe it was not deep enough into the shot clock, but if you watch that game and that ball's moving around, especially against the zone, and there was at least 3 in the second half where I'm like, shoot the ball, and they pass it around, and they end up trying to drive in the middle, and they turn it over at the end. But that's the one thing that really frustrates me is, at times they feel like they're super selfish and they don't make that extra pass. And then the other times is they do make the extra pass and you want them to shoot it because it's in the right guy's hands. I want Bryce to shoot it every time he gets the ball. He's our best player, best shooter. Whatever. Mahesh had a comment that I wanted to read. Also a comment, but I feel Devin Daniels needs to be given credit in general for his play these last few games. Dude has been jumping on 50-50 balls, been our defensive anchor. Big ups to him. He needs to work on passing and hitting free throws. Yeah, Devin Daniels is like a 78% free throw shooter, but just seems to miss at the worst times. But yeah, I agree. I've been saying this all year that I think Devin Daniels gets the extra effort award no matter what. He could be super frustrating just because sometimes he just plays out of control. But when he dials it in and kind of throttles it back just a little bit so that he's in control, he's really good, man. He's a super athlete. He plays super hard. And sometimes I think he just tries to do too much too fast. And as he has those games like he did against Syracuse, especially at the end, where he pulls it back and he kind of keeps in front of himself, it's just like, man, that guy's got the potential. And it lines up with what you heard when he transferred in from Utah, that everybody was saying that he was the best player. He was sitting out and he was like, oh, he's the best player. He's the best player. And you're like, he comes in his freshman year or sophomore year, whatever it was. And he was okay. You could tell he had the hustle, but he didn't have it, all refined, right? And I think he's starting to show more of those moments where you're like, yeah, this is it, man. This guy can do it all. And I really think he can. He's really good. Now, if he does get maybe a little bit more used to driving and kicking out and not trying to immediately go to the rack every time, maybe make a play for somebody else, he could run your point next year. You don't have to rely solely on Braxton or Sebron or one of these other guys coming in. Why are you? Will is.
I'm sorry. There's a lot of background noise here, so I'm trying to chat you to keep you going while you're talking.
I'm going. Yeah, he's a good defender. I mean, he's got it all, and I think it's just starting to come together for him. And he has those moments. He's had a couple 20-point games this year, and he's clutch, man. Because if you can't rely on your senior guards to do these things for you and to give that extra effort, I mean, I'd take 5 Devin Daniels in a heartbeat, and you'd beat a lot of teams. So, yeah, is your dog done barking yet?
She's growling. People just deal with it in the background. She's my girlfriend and her sister are here, and she's being a good girl, but she's also extremely excitable, and then it gets everyone excited. So, and that's just my girlfriend. Hey-o, that was a good joke. Yeah. It's funny. It's like I was watching that game until like the 6 or 8 minute mark, and they went up like 4 or 5 points. And I said, "This is it. We're done. My blood pressure can't take it." And I walked downstairs and started watching Bosch. And then I looked at my phone and saw we were up 4, and then we were up, I think, up to 7 maybe. And then I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be terrible." And then you just start seeing the like little 1 points going up from free throws, and I was like, "I'm not gonna tune in. I'm not gonna do it." And then the game was over, thank God, and we won. So that was just it's just funny. I think I've gotten to a point watching those games where I'm like, I think I literally am in a calm state, and now we're about to lose, and I can't watch this.
It's amazing that you never get used to it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's always something. We've seen the ends of those games so many times, and we've seen us on the bad end of those games more often than not, and so you just kind of expect it, and it's really hard mentality to get out of. But yeah, it is what it is. I don't even know who they got next.
Ultimate trap game for NC State post big win.
Right.
Hold on.
Boston College Sunday at 6 p.m. at BC. Okay. BC and then Duke.
Yeah,
okay.
So we go through like a little bit of a murderer's row stretch now, I think. We've got Duke, you've got Louisville, you've got UNC, and then I thought there was one more. Florida State,
Florida State. It's Duke, Florida State. Yeah, Duke, Florida State, Carolina.
And then isn't there one more Louisville game or no? Oh, okay, good.
No, I don't think so.
Well, we'll just see them in the ACC championship game. Am I right, guys?
Yeah, probably. All right. So football stuff. Wanted to talk about. Spring practice is starting in 2 weeks, but the content that the media, I don't even know what you're going to call it, football media, has been putting out has been awesome. Jeff Gravely, we were talking about, has put out a bunch of interviews. The latest one with Dave Dorn is super interesting. Like, you watch the videos, and I'll tweet it out later, but you watch that Dave Dorn interview, and man, you want to pull for him. You want the guy to win, because he just seems like, I like this guy, man. You could get down with it. You think he's genuine, and he's saying all the right things, and he just feels like he fits. Just got to win, man. But the content they've been putting out has been really good. I think it's awesome. It's starting to get you excited again for football, despite what football was last year.
Yeah, I was interested in that. I don't know. Was there another video before the one that he and Jeff Gravely came out with?
They did Charlie Wiles was the one before that. the interview, and then they also did just a regular promo.
It seems like it's definitely going to. I'm sorry, you guys are going to hear that. The dog is we're trying to take her out. I think Jeff Gravely is going to pay a lot of dividends. Having just someone that can kind of smoothly operate in those interviews with the coaches. Yeah. But I thought it was really interesting to hear, they were like, what's changed, or, how are you going to approach the quarterback situation? Well, we're going to let Devin take the lead, but, you kind of inferred that they're going to see what guys do well. And then it seemed like he was kind of indicating that they're like, okay, well, maybe we'll build packages off of these guys. So, I mean, everyone seems to kind of fit relatively the same mold. Unless, someone just all of a sudden turns into a dual threat. So maybe it's not much there, but, it was, I was just kind of laughing when he was like, what's changed? And he's like, well, we're not running Wishbone. So it was devastating news for our old school Pack fans.
Yeah. His point was they were going to run a version of the spread. And it was interesting. What I thought was interesting was his point that pretty much everybody else said, is that Devin Leary was the guy, eventually became the guy. And, retrospectively, you would have given him all the reps prior. And he said something like, if we had known what the story would end up, we would have given him all the reps. Right. And he said, I thought that was interesting, but people have been saying that. Why did you give him all the reps? Well, obviously they didn't know.
You know what? He didn't earn it until then. Like, I mean, I just hate to be a buzzkill about it. What I thought he was implying was basically like, hey, he was missing a half season of reps. And that is definitely true. I am hoping that, I guess the sense I got from Beck, and maybe I just kind of misunderstood what they were saying, but it basically sounded like he was installing and building out the schemes, and it just came across as like more structured. And I'm hoping that's the case, right? Because I always felt like we had too many different philosophies going on. It was good to hear him kind of implicate that, they're going to see a lot more of that power run game, but he was saying that him and Garrison, because of their experience, they can do more creative things together in the run game. And that's the thing, is like, I just want to see us play to our strength this year. And, maybe Beck can do that. So I felt good coming out of that interview.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. The spring game is April 4th. For those that are wondering, spring practice starts February 27th, and first scrimmage is March 20th. So
yeah, I gotta do a little golf tournament on the 3rd. So I guess maybe I could come back through and actually see the spring game in person, because knowing it's just one of my friends. I don't even know who we know that set it up. So it's like a best ball 4-man scramble or something.
I know if you need one.
We may need one. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna say we need to bring one up. But well, I was gonna say, usually Dave Doran is like the most anti. I don't know if he just doesn't understand that the spring game is kind of a marketing opportunity. Did I hit something?
Yeah, we've talked about this. Yes, you should know this by now. It's such a missed opportunity. Man, I thought this was going to be a short podcast, but I'm getting ready to butcher it. It de-emphasized it, which had to have come from Dave. And it's such a missed marketing opportunity every single year. It used to be a thing. They had the cookout, and they had fan fest type stuff, and I brought my kids, and the Mr. and Mr. Wolf run around. They were like, yeah, they loved it. And that is what it should be. It should be a big event. You have an opportunity, the way the area is growing, people moving in that don't have a connection to a team, but are always looking for things for their kids to do and events to go to. You bring in a local band. I think you and I have talked about this. You bring in local bands and just make it a deal. Don't make it about the football. Just make it an event, like a mini fair or something, and start generating that excitement from a young age, right? Get those kids interested, get the people interested, get the new people in, right? That's an opportunity in the spring, one of the best best weather times of the year in April to like
Best noon
make that
kickoff
happen.
time for us.
And I just hate that they don't. Yeah, right. Like make it happen. They really, it's just such a missed opportunity the way they've de-emphasized it the last few years. I really
The
don't
football should almost be like second fiddle to that kind of event. And
yeah,
I could see.
absolutely.
I think the thing that also used to frustrate the hell out of me was like, we'd have like, I don't know, 10,000 people there, and they would be like, give some money while you're going in to go to one of the foundations, and then it would be like we generated like $8,000 or something, and I'm like, hold on a minute, we've got 10,000 people there, and you guys aren't giving out at least like a couple bucks. And I was like, well, crap. I was like, I would give out like $20 every time. So I was like, that means I'm like subsidizing even more. Like, I don't know. It just always, I would say it would be interesting to see if Boo and those guys would kind of put a little more effort in there. Cause I think the thing is like, you want to reach out to the fans right now and get them excited and make it feel like you're invested for them. That's what I would do.
Yeah, absolutely. You just make it, a big thing. And, even if you only raised $8,000, you're raising money for charity, right? There's no downside to that. And I really wish they would do something different. Like if you want to put emphasis into, your football program and you want to be a football school, you have to do these things, right? You make it a big deal. And you start by making it not about the football, making it a big event to do whatever. And, eventually you start getting big crowds there and it becomes a thing. But yeah, it's just such a missed opportunity the last few years. Really disappointing.
All right. You had 3 minutes. Let's move on. Let's keep it short.
I'm done. All right. Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, short this week because we already recorded 2 hours with Bridget earlier.
Oh, sorry, guys.
It's all right. Quentin asks Sushi?
Yes.
Question mark.
What?
Is it any good? So that's what he said. I'll give you. I'm sure this probably hits home with you. But I was never really a big sushi guy. I'll eat it, like the California rolls and some of the basic stuff, not the super fancy. My wife loves it. But I've had sushi all over the place. We were in Tokyo a couple of years ago. We went to this famous sushi place, and it was good, man. I really like it. I enjoy it. It's not something I actively seek out like a lot of people. I could probably give you a couple recommendations, but I imagine there's probably other people that are much more well-versed in it. But I think there's so many different varieties. The thing I think is interesting about it is no matter what you like, there's some sort of sushi variant that you'll like, right? Even if it's just like, I like fried food, there's a fried freaking sushi, option, right? There's all sorts of levels of it. So I think that's what's interesting.
I love sushi.
Guy, so go.
I was just thinking about how we were out in California and we spent a night in Napa with some friends, and everyone had passed out from drinking wine earlier in the day. And there was like a, Michelin star sushi restaurant in the town that was one of the like Iron Chefs had done, ran. So I went and sat at the chef's bar there and was just like, make whatever you guys want and I'll take it. It was a delicious, wonderful experience. I would say, the great thing about sushi is like there's all kinds of it. I mean, you can be as simple as just getting like the giri and just simple little pieces of fish on sticky rice, or you could go for the rolls. I probably eat sushi at least once a week, I will admit. I love it. And I even have like different grades of like grocery store sushi that I'll accept depending on like how I'm feeling for the day. So I almost went and got like an upscale version of it today. And I said, no. I was like, I gotta be healthy. And now that I ate a donut, I'm glad I did. I would think, man, like, I mean, yeah, sushi, like, read through Yelp reviews. I mean, you just got to find a place that you like. I have one. I literally have one 4 blocks from me in my neighborhood. So it's and it's like one of the city's best. So I'm super lucky in that capacity. But I say give it a try if you take it easy. You go simple with start with like a California roll just to get into it, and then if you don't like it, then do what Emma suggested and get like a deep fried roll, like typically like a Philly roll is like what they'll call it, or a bagel roll. And it'll be like a bunch of cream cheese and probably hardly any fish, if at all. Let's branch out. Get yourself some sushi.
Yeah, it's worth a try. And experiment. But there's a bunch of variants. It's funny. I was deep sea fishing a long time ago, and I was with this grizzled old salty sea captain, and we were talking about seafood. And I forgot how it came up, but he was like, if you can't see or smell the ocean, don't eat the fish. And that's like, huh. That one kind of stuck with me for many years. Sushi's a little different. You don't really, the fish is usually better quality, but like that generally applies to how I view seafood. Like if I can't see or smell the ocean,
let me break it to you. They make this thing called refrigerated cars, and it's fine. If you get something that is like fresh catch or whatever, like I 100% disagree with that philosophy. But if we were out there in the sea, I would agree with the man because I want to survive. But yeah.
So we were out tuna fishing, and we caught, I think it was a 78-pound bluefin, and it was as big as us. We laid down next to it, was the same size. And when we got back to the dock and this dude cut it up, and you pull out a tuna loin, and it was no joke. It was like 3 feet long, 2 feet long, like just it looked like a big tenderloin that you would cook, right? And you could just peel it off, and it was just like, it is nothing like it. It was unbelievable. It was just so fresh, just not cooked. You just he cut it out, and you just hand it to you, and you're like, this is ridiculous. It's like butter, melts in your mouth. It's a drastic difference in that's extremely fresh, but I think there's a difference.
Now, when you did that, were you able to sell your catch to the either to the boat or okay?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We took back a bunch because we caught a bunch of them.
Tuna.
I got some crazy pictures. Yeah, and I gave it to all my friends. It was awesome. Like, I have a picture of this bush light cam next to this giant tuna fillet. People are like, "That is ridiculous." It was awesome. It was so good. We had like a tuna party. It was great.
We need to start a tuna farm.
Yeah. So sushi.
Right. What else we got on here?
Favorite book. Somebody asked her what's her favorite book. So, I thought about this for a little bit because I'm currently on a Jack Reacher bender, I guess you would call it. I'm reading like a book a week at this point. I decided to just go through the series, and it's like Bosch.
I think you hit like a certain period in your life where you're like, you know what I want? A little Jack Reacher action.
Yeah. I've read a couple of them before, and I just started. I was with my kid in the library one day, and I saw it on the shelf, and I was like, "Oh, I'll get it," and just started reading through them all. And they're so good. Amazon's making it a TV series, by the way. But so currently, I'm reading Jack Reacher Die Trying, which is I've actually read it before. I got halfway into it, I was like, "Oh yeah, I've already read this one," but I kept reading it anyway. My favorite book of all time, and it's not even that good of a book, but it is to me. It's Alex Garland's The Beach, and most people probably remember it from the DiCaprio movie when he was like 12. But it was based on this book, and I think the book's fantastic, and it's just infinitely better than the movie, which usually is with books. But I was in Thailand I was by myself, and I had met this girl, and we were traveling around together a few places, and we were in Chiang Mai, and we're talking one night, and we're walking down the street, and she's asked me about this book. She's like, "Hey, have you ever read it?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "It's based here." And we're going to this bookstore, used bookstore, and she pulls it out and she buys it for me, hands it to me, and she's like, "Here, read it." And I started reading it like on boats and things as I was traveling around Thailand. I was like, "This is amazing." I still have that copy of the book. It's sitting on my shelf. It's one of the best things that like somebody's ever given me. And I just super interesting book. So anytime anybody asks my favorite book, it's that one and that particular book because it really like hit home.
And it's because you really
when I
like
was
young
there.
Leo DiCaprio.
So-
You're just like, man, what a future this guy has.
Naturally. Yeah, he's good.
If you,
He's going somewhere.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, one more. The first book I actually read through high school was in 12th grade English. Didn't read the Cliff Notes, actually read the book. We had a book report and got to pick one off of the New York Times bestseller list, and I read John Grisham's The Rainmaker. And I thought that was really good. And I've read a lot of John Grisham books since, but that one.
I think that one does that one have Matt Damon in the
all
movie?
all the good books have a story for me.
You
That is
you just
Matt
like
Damon.
movie
Yeah, they made the
books.
movie again. Matt Damon.
You're like, can Tom Cruise be in this?
I just like hunky stud actors.
Have you ever read the Bob Lee Swagger books? They're in that.
I haven't. But
There's a good one.
Yeah, I really want
my
to.
dad used to get
Yeah.
all these books on tape. I don't know why. I guess like his bank, they all like would just buy books on tape and then like exchange them with each other. And there's one called I Sniper, a Bob Lee Swagger novel, and I remember it being really good. And you probably would like it if you like Reacher. He's kind of got that same kind of vibe to him.
I'll write that down. It's very much that was from the movie Shooter. Bob Lee Swagger.
See, this is right down your alley. Boom.
See, you know me so well.
Ever heard of a book called the Bible? It's been made. Yeah, let's see. What would I do for my favorite books? I really like sci-fi and fantasy fiction a lot. So if I was recommending any of those, there's a really great series I've been reading recently called The Red Rising. First it was a trilogy, now it's up to 5 books. And in particular, the audiobook is read very well. It's got a great narrator. It's very, if you are at all intrigued by adventures in space with a little Roman flair to them, as far as like the bloody, gory, old school, salt of the earth kind of terrible portion of humanity, it's great, and I can't recommend that enough. And if you are into more of like a fantastical mindset, there's a series by Brandon Sanderson called The Stormlight Archive. It's the books are all very big, but they're really, really well written. And this author is known for his kind of unique magic systems, but his characters are always really interesting to me. He typically has a character or multiple characters that are dealing with some kind of mental illness, which I always find is fascinating. I think he does a great job writing that. And if you just have an active imagination, you'd probably really like those books. And then a autobiographical book that I really liked was actually Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime, about growing up as a mixed race child during the apartheid era in South Africa. It's fascinating. The audiobook is great because Trevor is reading it. It's funny and sorrowful, and it hits all kinds of notes. And if you are ever curious about South Africa or race relations or anything like that, gives some incredible perspectives about what he went through and what his people went through. It's a really great read, and it's not too long, so you can bang it out quickly. If you're an active reader, you'll do it in a week without a problem. It's a good book.
Huh. I just turned around in my office and I have a couple on the shelf. I don't keep many of them. I keep the ones I really like. Bill Bryson's Notes from a Small Island. Also, Bill Bryson, Walking in the Woods, are really good. He's hilarious. I have Michael Crichton's Travels. Michael Crichton wrote this book on his travel memoirs, which is completely different than the rest of his books. And I thought it was really good.
Did you ever read Jurassic Park? I've heard that's really good.
I
I might.
didn't.
I'll probably get it as one of my next books because I kept putting it off, but it's very well rated and respected apparently.
And one more for you, it kind of out of left field, but it's a
Oh yeah,
food
yeah.
book called The Food Lab. Kenji Lopez, alt Serious Eats. People
Hmm.
might know him from Serious Eats blog, but the Food Lab book, man, it's huge, and everything in it, like the way he breaks down why you should do certain things. If you like cooking, if you just like food and you want to do things better, even if it's like from a burger to baked ziti or any of these things, like, and he breaks it down in there why you can do this and do that, and it's fantastic.
I think.
And um, I recommend going to the library
Ooh,
to
excellent plug.
find all these
Excellent plug.
books because yeah, like to me, it just clicked for me. Like I said, I was in the library with my boy, a couple months ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably come here. Why would I, bother buying them? And they have everything. And then now the Wake County Library doesn't have fees, so there's no late fees. And if they don't have a book, you can request it and they'll buy it for you. So I requested one, they bought
Yeah.
it, and I went and read it, and they brought it back. It was awesome.
Yeah, I was about to
Like,
say,
it's
yeah, a lot
great.
of them have
And they have
audiobooks
audiobooks.
now. Yeah, that's Serious Eats. I cook a lot, and I in particularly they talk about the reverse sear method for steaks, and if you've never done
Oh
it,
yeah. Yeah.
it's totally worth going out and getting like a little Bluetooth thermometer thing. I think I got one from Lowe's when I was doing like a pork shoulder or something one time, and it makes the best steaks. I literally, when we go on trips with friends and family, actually bring gear to cook with because I'm a psycho, but I always bring my thermometer, and people laugh because it's like, oh, you're cooking this steak low and slow in the oven, and then you sear it really fast at the end, and then they have it, and they're like, wow, that's the best steak I've ever had. So Kenji is near and dear to my heart. I
Yeah.
thank him for probably giving me lots of cholesterol now that I think about it. But um, I have one more book recommendation too. It's like my ultimate guilty pleasure. It's an audio book series. Well, it's actually a real book too, but it's like an Amazon only series, and it's called Expeditionary Force, and it is basically about the quote unquote merry band of pirates, which is this NATO esque um, military force that, through some circumstances, has found themselves gallivanting around the galaxy. And the two main characters is a guy named Joe and basically a talking beer can named Skippy. And it is so dumb, and but it's like my guiltiest pleasure, and it's got a wonderful voice actor who I think RC Bray is his name, and he really just brings dumb life to these characters. And what I really like about it is the reviews, like on the book covers that they have, is like it's like an Amazon review, so it's like great read, would do it again, and then it just says like Amazon reviewer. And it's freaking incredible. I'm not joking, guys. It's it's perfect for if you want to listen to an audiobook while you're at the beach or something and just staring off. Um, it's low mental calories but maximum enjoyment for me.
All right. So everybody, if you've made it this far, give us your book recommendations. I'm always curious of a good book. And this one came up a few weeks ago. Will and I were talking, and give us a YouTube channel
Oh well,
recommendation.
I'll tell you which one I will recommend is Four Eyes Furniture, which I have been.
Yes.
Well, I do. I used to do a lot of woodworking, and I'd kind of gotten out of it. And I don't know how I wanted to build a TV stand for my basement, and I wanted to do something kind of like modern, but I didn't really have an idea. And I just started Googling around, and this guy's video popped up. And I don't know, Evan, how would you describe it?
It's super chill. I don't know how to describe it. It's like, um, it's kind of mellow, but he's really interesting and thoughtful how he makes these things and how he does it. I've watched a ton of them since you told me about this channel.
It's like
highly recommend
the zen of watching someone build something, but what he's building is, if you like mid-modern or mid-century modern, he does really beautiful woodworking. And he also is like dropping a little philosophy on you kind of as the episodes go on. And at first it was funny. I listened maybe 10 seconds in, I was like, this guy's a joke. And then by the end of the episode, I was like, I got to keep watching this. Really great.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I watch on YouTube.
Yeah, he's really good. So
I
watch a ton of YouTube, so but I want everybody else's.
Yeah, if you've got
YouTube
something, I'm intrigued now, because I used to be very skeptical of the concept of YouTube channels. I usually just go on there for like DIY, advice and like golf, like a golf lesson or something like that if something's bothering me.
I'll give you a golf lesson.
Oh,
Shoot me a
man,
video
please.
next time. I'll straighten you out.
Maybe. We'll see. We will see.
Seriously. Yeah, I got a bunch of my YouTube subs, and I'll pull them up while I'm working and just play them. Bass fishing and cooking.
Bass fishing. Wow. That's the last rabbit hole I went down, was Ross Martin bass fishing. Oh boy, man. For like a week, I was talking like him. I was going to Texas. We do a guys trip every year, and we have a ranch that we rented out last year, and it's got a private pond that's just stocked with largemouth bass and like tilapia. And I had watched for like a week. And I was like, man, I never largemouth bass. I don't know what to do like here. And I watched his episodes, and my God, I was teaching everyone on the ranch how to catch fish. And man, and the whole time I can't remember how he says it, but I just kept saying a couple things just like him. And I was like, man, I can't believe how easily influenced I was by this guy.
That's awesome. Yeah, so send us your channels. I got a bunch of them if anybody wants recommendations, but that's all we got. Pack Women just lost. It's only second one of the year. They gave it a fight in the end, but just ended. They lost.
Because it got cut off or lost in the last recording, I'll say Quentin reached out to us. A family friend of his had passed away in an unfortunate drunk driver accident where two girls were killed by a drunk driver, and his friend's sister, Mia Stokes, who Quentin was really close to, and also this another girl named Grace Revels. They believe they went to USC Union, and they were playing softball there. So Quentin asked for us just to kind of give some thoughts and prayers out to that community that was rocked by this unfortunate news. It's just, I've had family members that have died from drunk driving, and we're not going to go into like a moral crusade here right now, but it's just like, if you ever are even anywhere close to feeling questionable, like, please just get an Uber or a Lyft or call a friend. Like, just don't do it. It's so not worth it. And Quentin, we're just sorry for your loss, and hope friends and family are, dealing with it. And, we're sorry they're having to go through it.
Yeah. Well said. With that's it. Thanks for listening. Tried to go short. We're still at an hour. So yeah, deal with it. But thanks for all the questions. We'll have some more next week after some basketball games.
Go Pack.
Hope you have a good weekend. Go Pack.
I know I can't get enough of you. Leave it all to bloom. You were right. I know I can't get enough of you. No, the things that I would do under the water. I'm sinking further down, floating on nothing. I'm nothing. Arms are wide open. I'm calling out your name, sitting and waiting nothing.